Now, recently I got a comment that I opened too many stockbrokers. And yes, I guess that's one of my hobbies and also comes as part of having a financial YouTube channel, I suppose. However, in this video, instead of talking about a new broker that I added to my collection, actually, unfortunately, I had to close one of my brokers, and that's not because of my choice, but I was actually forced to. So let me talk to you about why I'm closing my Trade Republic account, give you some reasons, the backstory about it, as well as some of the things you should in general consider about the broker. While I still think it's an amazing broker for certain people, I think there are also some things to consider to maybe potentially consider some other brokers. Not because of my own experience, but I want to be very transparent here. And as I'm always in the channel, right, there's some things I like about it and some things I don't. That's the beauty of trying so many different brokers, that I think I have a really good understanding of what you can expect from a good broker. So let's dive right in. Basically, I got this email a few days ago, and at first I thought it was a scam, informing me that they're going to be closing my and terminating my account, literally just out of the blue. I have no idea why they did that. I did do nothing wrong. I had my account for a number of years now and been really promoting it a lot and used them a lot, and yeah, really always enjoyed it. But well, basically they told me that by end of the year, Christmas exactly, they're going to be closing my account, and if there's still any funds, they will basically sell it off and wire it back into my Revolut account, the actual proceeds. And the weird thing is, I told my wife about it, and guess what? 3 days later, she got the same message. So I have no idea why that is. Worst of all, they didn't give me any reason, which I think is really bad, right? At least tell me why you closed my account, right? Maybe I did something wrong or what have you. I could understand and either change it or not and decide to go ahead with the closure. But for me, that's really frustrating. And even after writing to them twice, I still haven't received an answer why they closed my account. So honestly, for me, it's a real red flag. Now, I didn't have a big portfolio over there. To be fair, I mostly use it for the Trade Republic card, which I really enjoyed. That was one of the biggest perks because you can have fee-free withdrawals for any withdrawal over 100 euros worldwide, free of charge. So I really enjoyed that. I used that a lot actually. And of course, for the high interest rates, which they used to have, right? Back when the interest rates with the ECB was still very high, I really enjoyed that. But now, obviously, as rates come down, they are less attractive than some competitors. For example, trading 2-on-2, I get a much higher interest rate than on Trade Republic. So given that those 2 points are not relevant for me anymore, I never really bought stocks there anyways, because you can only buy in euros, not in dollars. And I like to buy my holdings in dollars, and in different stock markets across the world, there you only buy in Germany actually. So that's also something to keep in mind. I'll speak about this a bit later. So yeah, all in all, I'm not sad that they're closing my account, but in fact, my wife actually had her biggest holdings with Trade Republic. So for her, it's really painful to get that message without any reason. And worst of all, she now has to sell all her shares and rebuy them with another broker elsewhere. And obviously, that's really not ideal. So I was very upset with them, and not getting an answer is really not helpful. So if we jump over to my phone into the Trade Republic app, you see over here, I have zero money in the portfolio anymore. I removed all of that. Same with my cash holding, already withdrew everything. Whatever I had left in my interest account, because still got a bit of interest from them, I basically withdrew it into my Revolut account, and I will send that money elsewhere, probably trading 2-on-2. So at least I get some nice interest over there. But yeah, overall, I mean, the interface I never liked the most, to be honest. I think Lightyear is a much cleaner and nicer interface, but it's still a great app. And as I mentioned before, 2 things I really like about trading 2-on-2 was their card. So here basically I got the fee-free withdrawals worldwide over 100 euros, and I really enjoyed it. Plus, of course, they have some kind of save back. So if you have an automated saving plan, I think up to 15 euros a month, you can get back in sort of cash back, where they buy more of your ETF with that money, up to 15 euros. So for me, not really relevant, because usually I have higher cashback with my other cards, but still better than some other cards, of course. And of course, I also always enjoyed the interest feature. But right now I can see the interest rate is only 3.25%, so it definitely came down, but that's not their fault. That's the ECB lowering the rate, so I get it. In total, you can see I earned over 1,800 euros in interest. So I had quite a bit of money sitting over here, because it's protected up to 100,000 and the interest was paid up to 50,000. So that's the best protection I've seen across any broker on your cash balance, definitely. But all good things come to an end, unfortunately. And yeah, I just want to talk about a couple of other things that I'm not really too fond of with Trade Republic. Now, first off, as I just alluded to, is the unexpected account closure. That should not happen, right? You should always get a reason. There should be a warning. There should be something why they're closing my account, not just out of the blue, and not only mine, but also my wife. So I really speak from experience, not reading some forums of what other people experienced. This is really me experiencing it myself, and literally for the first time. I mean, I've been using a number of brokers worldwide and never had such an issue. So it was really, really surprising. Maybe they saw my initial Trade Republic card review video and didn't like it. I don't know. But either way, this should not happen. Now, the second point that I mentioned already before is the decline in interest rate. While it's not the fault of Trade Republic, they currently don't offer money market funds like, for example, Trading 212, where I get much higher interest than I get on Trade Republic. The third point why I really wasn't too fan of Trade Republic is the €1 commission on stocks and ETFs. Now I get it, it's not that bad, but especially for people with smaller investments, if you invest for €50, €100, €1 is 1%, so it really eats into your profitability over long term. The bigger your investable amounts get, €1 becomes less and less meaningful. At the same time, as I said, for so many other brokers out there, like for example Lightyear, where you can buy ETFs without any fees, Trading 212, no fees on stocks and ETFs, and even on eToro, my most recent stockbroker edition, where I don't pay any fees on my ETFs. So it's not terrible, €1, but as I said, there are better and cheaper alternatives out there. Another point I want you to really consider is the fact that you will be buying your stocks and ETFs in Germany, right? The stock market exchange matters because where you buy it is where you can also transfer it later on. And right now, if you buy on Trade Republic, you can mostly only buy it in euros, and you will buy those shares on the Hamburg Stock Exchange, which is actually not that big and that common. If you live in Europe and you earn in euro and have no intention of ever moving the country, that's fine. But who knows what the future will bring, right? And I really value flexibility. And the problem is, while Trade Republic allows you to transfer your shares to another broker, as I said, a lot of the brokers, they don't offer Hamburg as a stock market. So imagine you buy Tesla shares through Trade Republic in euros listed in Hamburg, and then one day you decide you want to move your portfolio, like in the case with my wife, for example, and you want to move it to Trade Republic. Well, guess what? You would not be able to buy them there because they don't list Hamburg as one of the stock exchanges. That means you would have to sell your shares eventually and rebuy them elsewhere, and that would trigger taxable events and so forth. So that's really something to keep in mind if you want to build a long-term portfolio. Now, if you have no intention of ever leaving them, which again, nobody knows the future, right? You have to be very certain that you want to be sticking with Trade Republic for the next 10, 20, 30 years, if you're a long-term investor, that is. But in this case, well, you're really going to be stuck with them because, as I said, most big stockbrokers don't support Hamburg Stock Exchange because it's not that common. If they were to buy them in Frankfurt, Germany, that's much more common, right? You could trade those later on in Interactive Brokers, eToro, or Trading 212 or many other brokers. As I said, Hamburg is not that common. And personally, I like to buy my stocks in dollars. Even though I used to live in Europe, I still, go from time to time to Europe and have some euros lying around, but I always preferred buying my shares in dollars. And I just think it's important to have the option, right? It doesn't mean you have to buy them in dollars. If you earn in euros and you live in Europe, it makes sense to buy them in euro, right? I totally get it. Or in pounds or whatever is your native currency to avoid the currency exchange conversion fee. However, you won't have the option because, as I said, you never know what the future will bring. And unfortunately, on Trade Republic, you won't be able to buy that in pounds or in dollars. And the last point why I decided to leave them, or they asked me to leave, but either way, that's why I haven't really put money into the portfolio with them before. And that's a geographical restriction. They really focus mostly on Europe. And I'm a world citizen. I lived in many different countries around the world. And I really value having a broker that can grow with me and move with me, right? Recently, I moved from Europe, Lithuania, to the UAE, Dubai right now. And, most of my brokers, they are global brokers, right? They could transfer my portfolio from one country to another one instantly without having to sell anything. And unfortunately, with Trade Republic, that's just not the case. Now I was thinking maybe that's the reason why they canceled my account, but actually can't, because first of all, they don't know that I moved. And second of all, I still have a European address. So technically I have a place where it's registered and they never asked me for a revalidation of that address and so forth. So that cannot be the reason. So I have no idea why they canceled the account. If anyone knows, or if Trade Republic is watching, please reach out. Let me know. I would really love to know. Now, another two common complaints that I hear about Trade Republic from what I read online, I haven't encountered it myself, but one is customer service, which is true. I mean, try to reach out to them. It's very, very difficult. Until you really find a place to contact them, it's very difficult. You can't really call them or chat with them. So that's very, very tricky. And it seems they grew so fast, which is good for them, right? However, they did not manage to keep up with their customer support agents or any ways of support for the clients. So a lot of users were really left unhappy with the way they got feedback to any queries. And once again, I'm a good example for that, because after having sent 2 messages back to the initial email, which has been now over 2 weeks, I have still yet to get a reply to my message. And that's just really frustrating. It shouldn't be this case. And once again, I can just compare across other brokers. For example, eToro, I have a personal dedicated account manager. I was recently on a Zoom call with her. I can write her via WhatsApp. It's amazing. The same with Trading 212. I can chat with them. I get an immediate answer. And it doesn't matter how much money you have in your portfolio. And that's really important. That's how it should be. And the second point point people have been mentioning quite often is the delayed dividends that are paid to you. Now, normally when you have shares in a company, as soon as the dividend payment is due, it normally gets out, and maybe a day or 2 days later, it should arrive in your broker and you have the dividend, the money. And it seems with Trade Republic, some users have been waiting, weeks and weeks to get the dividend. So again, for me, it's not applicable because I'm not a dividend investor, nor have I really put significant funds on Trade Republic before. Maybe you experience the same. So that's just something to keep in mind. Probably once again, because they grew so fast over the last few months. But look, I'm not here to bash Trade Republic. I think it's still an amazing broker. It's a German licensed bank, and that gives a lot of credibility in general, right? So your money and funds are definitely safe with them. So I'm not worried about that. But I personally just experienced some not so pleasant parts of it. And I think there are just so many greater alternatives out there. So unless you're really committed with them, just keep those things in mind. And in general, as you know, if you've been watching my videos before, I'm a fan of diversifying not just my investments, but also the brokers where I keep my investments. That's why I have so many brokers. Coming back to the initial comment the user made on my channel, I just value not relying on one broker, because in this case, if I had all my funds with Trade Republic, I would be really in a difficult situation right now, right? And that's why I like to spread out my funds across different brokers so I can sleep peacefully at night. But having said that, as I said, overall, I still think it's a great broker. It does offer a lot of great things. But if you would consider yourself a global citizen, or maybe consider one day to move your portfolio to another broker, or maybe move the country, or you want to add some stocks that are based in other stock exchanges around the world, or maybe you want to invest in dollars or pounds, well, then I think Trade Republic may not be your best friend, and there might indeed be better options out there for you. But I'm interested to hear from you. Let me know in the comments down below your experience about Trade Republic. You like it, you don't like it, what they could improve. I'm really happy to hear from you. Next up, check out this video right here. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and to see you in the next one. Ciao.